Ras, thank you so much for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you on the other side of the seat. How
Pleasure
does it feel?
to be here. I feel really, really good. Today's been a great day so far, barring the weather. Woke up nice and early, been for my run. So, yeah, everything good.
On a run, is that a frequent thing that you do? Is that something?
That is a practice that I would like to say daily, although it's not been happening daily for a little while. But yeah, I do get at least a couple, 3 times in a week in the morning. Definitely.
Jeez, what, 3Ks, 5Ks?
3Ks.
Nice.
Yeah, 3Ks, push-ups, deep breathing.
I like
A
that.
bit of headspace clearing. What else do I do? Yeah, it's generally that. And just giving yourself a good foundation to build a new day on. That's the way I like to think about it.
I like that. I like to start the morning with a prayer or a meditation. Center yourself in the morning, ground
There you
yourself.
go.
And all of a sudden, you got gratitude for the rest of the day.
There you go. Get rid of the gremlins from early. That's what's up.
I like that. Get rid of the gremlins from early. Ras, you've been in the game for a long time. DJ, presenter, producer. I want to go to the start of the journey. Yeah?
Right.
To the very start. Do you recall the first moment or one of the first moments when you really thought, right, like, I love this thing. I love this game. I'm good at it as well. Let me continue.
I guess in the early days of my career at national radio, I was probably like 2-3 years in. I'd been on pirate radio before then, quite successful. But entering that bigger space where you knew you could make more of an impact nationally than locally, which was probably like a year or so into doing a 100% homegrown show on One Extra. Yeah, that's when I thought to myself, you know what? This is by the time a few artists have told you how much you've helped their career and how many songs you've played and how many people you've introduced to new audiences and how much they're winning, and now you're seeing them out there doing live sets, etc. And the scene's beginning to flourish because the mission was all about, let's champion UK black music to the max, and represent for the music and the culture and the personalities. Let's get this thing going so we can ensure that the money runs down to the community on the table locally, because that's where a lot of the money ends up. It doesn't just stay in the artist's pocket. So once I began to get those feelings of like, wow, you really are impacting, which was probably like a year into doing that 100% homegrown show, I began to feel like, yeah, I really, really actually do like this. And yeah, I just definitely want to keep it going, because it wasn't a 110% nailed on career choice at that time. It was something I was doing and enjoyed doing, and I was active as a DJ anyway, but I always had an eye on like, well, what are we actually going to do job wise? Because my parents being African and Ghanaian, they didn't really see DJing as any sort of work. Yeah.
They were saying doctor, lawyer.
There you go, accountant,
Yes.
or which my dad is one. So therefore, yeah, I was meant to be going in that tradition. So I actually went to uni, studied economics, and then my thinking towards an economic output was open a record shop.
Wow.
And then so my journey begins.
Combining that business and the radio side of things, your mind always thinks entrepreneurial. I think, Ras. Like you're always thinking about the next big thing, and speaking about bringing up the artists, raising the artists, giving them a platform. You've had guests such as Massacre, Byron Messiah, Cranium. You've had all of that. The list is very, very, very long.
Very, 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 very long. Especially if I go back to early career days. Wow. So many. Yeah.
And for instance, Massacre, you were interviewing him like 7 years ago on the Reggae Recipe. But it's only, I wouldn't say now, but he's blowing up more so recently. Like, how do you spot talent from such an early stage in their career? Especially talking of Byron, I remember you interviewed him within about the same month of when Taliban's popped.
Right.
Like, that's when people really started to know him, when he started to become mainstream, when people from all different kinds of different radio station audiences started to know his thing. So how are you able to spot that talent? And is it important for you to make time for those artists and give them a space so they can be heard?
Right. So second question first. Yes, it's 110% important to give the artist that space, because once you realize they have something to offer and how much they can achieve in their careers, I think what comes to me first of all is like, okay, this could be a really short run or it could be a really long run. And I'm here for the long run, and I like to see the artists go on their journey full length. So it's definitely very important to me to give them that platform and that support all along the way of their career. It's not just about your latest hit single. I'm coming from the era where we supported artists from the beginning. So you would buy an artist's music all the way throughout their career. There wasn't, you'd have good albums and bad albums and great albums and your favorite album from an artist, but it was supporting them along their journey. So you'd buy every record that they made, really and truly, as a fan of the artist.
Yes.
You'd buy the merchandise, you'd go to the live show, etc. So it's definitely about providing the platform. But in terms of spotting talent, I'm not really out there thinking, oh, I'm trying to spot some talent right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's organic. It will come to me, first of all, as a record that I really like from someone who I've never heard of before. And then once you probably get another record, or even might just be the first record, you begin to think, okay, this guy's got something special and deserves that support. So let's see what else they can do.
Yes.
And then I get to the point where it might be 3 singles, an EP or an album in. Now I really want to know about the artist. Ultimately, I remain a fan, Jasmine. I still, if I wasn't doing this as a job, I'd still be in the music. Obviously not as in-depth as I am now, but I'd still be listening to music, discovering new artists, telling my friends about, oh, have you heard this guy? Have you heard this song? That's always going to be my journey. So by the time I get to speak to them for the first time, I actually really want to speak to them, find out about your life. Well, how did you get this skill? What does that song mean? When you said that lyric, I'm as curious as any fan out there. So having remained with that energy, it's been all about that. There is no like, oh my God, I need to spot some talent right now. Talent just comes to me organically because I love music.
Yeah.
So once I hear music, I'm like, okay, who's this guy? So what's he all about? Rare. And that will generally happen very early in an artist's career because I'm in this position of being a broadcaster and a tastemaker, specialist DJ, etc.
And talk to me about your love of music. I know that we all descend from Africa. You're from part of the land called Ghana. You were living there up until about the age of 8, is that correct?
Yes. So it's actually the other way around. I was born in the UK.
Oh, born in the UK.
Grew up here till I think it was about 9-10 years old. And then my parents relocated to Ghana.
Ah, interesting.
So my parents came from Ghana in the late 50s, came to the UK, had children, and then early 80s decided to go back to Ghana. Or my dad spotted a good job opportunity, the money was right, and decided like, hey, listen, man, it's kind of cold over here. Let's relocate to Ghana. So that's where my journey begins. But my love of music actually comes from my father, the reluctant DJ, because he would buy music fanatically. And when I was younger, I used to think he actually used to like all this music he'd buy, because he'd buy stuff from like the Vienna Boys Choir all the way through to African cultural music and everything that's in between. So you've got your reggae, your soul, your rock, your pop, your jazz, your blues, and all this type of music. And he obviously had a good taste across the range of what he'd have. But later on in life, he told me a lot of those records for when the guys and the girls came round.
No way.
So he was buying music to entertain his friends and his family across the board.
Wow.
And because this goes back to like the 70s, the days when you had really old technology for playing records, we had these 7-inch singles that you put one on, or you stuck a load of them and put them on, and the machine would just flip them themselves and go through the whole pile. And I was charged with loading up the thing. And I could think of nothing more than standing there waiting for one to finish playing, and then the thing would flick up again, and then another one would land, and I'd be like, rah, okay. So without knowing I was a DJ, that was kind of like DJing, because sometimes you tell me like, just put some records on.
Would you meticulously pick which record that you wanted? Pick a record for yourself?
Very quickly, I discovered I like the ones that I now know to be reggae.
Yes.
But they were Island record releases and Trojan record releases. So anytime I see those logos, I take a load of them on the record and put them on and be like, yeah, I want to hear these ones. So in a way, my dad informed my DJing career, because he was a reluctant DJ. He was a DJ, I say reluctant because he was a DJ without knowing he was a DJ.
Yeah.
But what is the point of DJing? You pick a selection of music to entertain people with. And that's exactly what he did. And that spirit stayed with me from the UK when I was really, really young, like 4 or 5 years old, all the way through to Ghana, Africa, where the environment now is just a musical 24/7 environment. You come out your yard, music's blasting, it's on the corner, it's in the shops, it's everywhere around you.
Yeah.
It's a part of the fabric of society, right through to occasions, birthdays, weddings, funerals, you name it. It's always got a musical heavy background. So that just drew me in even more. And by the time I got to secondary school, I then began to collect. And I'm a very fastidious collector. If I'm collecting stuff, I collect things properly. So I would collect vinyl. I'd collect cassettes.
Wow.
My cassettes would be always in alphabetical order. I could tell you what song. You ask me for a song, I'll tell you, oh, yeah, it's that one over there on the right-hand side. So, yeah, 2 folders. That. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
So my peers began to crown me as a DJ because they thought to themselves, well, any tune you want, this guy's probably got it. You'll be able to find it for you very quickly. And anytime you go through his selection, it's always in meticulous order. So I began to generate that DJ thing. Then you're only one step away of people saying, oh, I'm having a party. I know you got the tunes. Can you come support? You know, play a few tunes, this, that, and the third. By the time you've done a couple of gigs and entertained the crowd, that's it. You're hooked. You always want to be choosing the music for the crowd in front of you. And then it's just continuation of that spirit to present day.
Do you know what? I feel so inspired right now, Ras, because even watching you DJ live and now hearing the backstory of how that all came together,
right?
And how, because I always say this about you, whenever you come onto the stage, you know everyone's going to be up,
it's
dancing,
game on,
singing, nobody's sitting down. The energy is wild. It's so, it's alive. It's
That's
alive
what we
when
do.
you come onto the stage.
110.
So to hear the fact that you are flipping from CDs from young age to then going, left, right folder.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, your music is also so diverse. I know that your passion lies in now reggae and dancehall and Afro bashment, but do you think from having such like a diverse selection of music from a young age that's now kind of been brought into the present and where you stand now and how you decide to DJ? Because even when sometimes you'll be hired to, just DJ with dancehall music or reggae music, do you sometimes just think, let me just put a cheeky little Afrobeat song over there? Let me put
definitely. My diverse musical tastes have started from then and have never left me.
Yeah.
So even in career terms, it's often been a bit of a struggle to just stay in the one box. Do you know what I mean? Not because I want to be in the one box, but because the audience, the industry, whatsoever, likes to simplify things and be like, you're the reggae guy, or you're the this guy, or you're the that guy, as opposed to letting everyone be free with it. And I like to be free with it musically. I want to go to a rock concert if I like the band as much as I want to go to a reggae concert if I like the band or the artist.
True.
Do you know what I mean? And I've never kind of lost that spirit, but it's quite complex for me because most people aren't really like that. They're not that wide in their musical appreciation or what drives them to go and see an act or get involved with something. For most people, they like one style of music or a couple of styles of music and they generally stay in that box. So because I'm quite wide and diverse with it, can be a bit frustrating at times. Do you know what I mean?
I suppose a space where you kind of have influence of doing that is probably the Reggae Recipe Live, right?
Yes.
That would be a fantastic space where you could pick the artist, you can say, play your tunes because you can trust them.
Yeah.
And then you can also play your thing.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the works that you're working on that you want to create an event? Or let's just manifest it. If you could have the Reggae Recipe Live and you can pick any artist.
Oh my gosh.
You're picking any artist, any DJ, any producer, anyone can be there. Who is there, Ras?
Well, somebody's going to have a word with the Most High Judge because I'm looking for Bob Marley to be there. So he might have to be resurrected and just come represent on that microphone. Like, that's my guy. That's my inspiration in music from the creative side myself. Bob Marley's 110% there. And it's a loaded question.
Yeah,
it's a loaded question because there's so many artists from over the years. I mean, I've been doing this like coming up 30 years. Yeah. So there's so many artists I appreciated over the years that just picking a handful for a live show, unless it was a series of like 50 live shows, and then I can just put them in order, is really, really hard work.
I won't load that heavy question onto you then, Ras. Let's move on to then Bob Marley, because you've just mentioned him.
Yeah.
You say that he's a biggest inspiration. He's definitely going to be the headline of whatever show.
Right, exactly. Bob's here. Bob's in charge. Bob comes first, definitely.
I know that through reggae music, you learnt a lot, especially coming from Ghana and hearing what's happening here in USA and the UK. Bob Marley talks about it a lot. What are some of the personal teachings from Bob Marley that you've learnt that you didn't know before?
The lyrics of War, for example. Until the philosophy, until the colour of a man's skin is no more important than the colour of his eyes. This is quoting Haile Selassie in a song. Do you know what I mean? So much trouble in the world. Prophetic. Black survival. Facts. Return to Africa. Not physically in your mind and your soul and your energy as African descendants on this planet. Facts. Rastaman vibration. First expression of black spirituality on this planet. That is pure. Do you know what I mean? Jesus Christ, Haile Selassie. If we're all picking images to represent us spiritually, then our one should be black. Moving away from what they physically did on this planet, it's like you're gonna pick something. Every race and creed has their own representation, spirituality of spiritual vibrations that looks like them. Apart from Africans, Africans have Islam, we have Christianity, we have Buddhism, we have this, that, and the third. So where is the black man's spiritual groundation? Rastafari is the first expression of black spirituality. Reggae music and Bob Marley teaches me all these things and plenty more, but I won't go too wide of it. But those are the kind of things that have resonated with me from the music, and particularly from Bob Marley, listening to Bob Marley songs, which when you're first listening, you're just listening to a nice song.
Yeah.
And then eventually the meanings and the words will start to sink into you and you get inspired and you begin to understand. Because in those days, we would listen to a whole album. We wouldn't pick singles that we like and just play them. We'd just put the album on and it will play from start to finish. And to be honest with you, I have not heard a Bob Marley or a Bob Marley and the Wailers song yet that I don't like.
That's deep.
Not even one.
Wow.
Not even the old ones of the Sir Cox and Scar days. Do you know what I mean? This man was gifted musically on the highest level. And that's why I rate him highly, and he's informed a lot of my mode of thought.
That's deep. He's number one on your list.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Wow.
Music is meant to inspire and give you a vibe, and no one's done that for me more than Bob Marley. I can't, obviously there's other ones who come close, but Bob Marley is, he's informed me 360. He's talked about love. He's talked about relationships. He's talked about spirituality. He's talked about culinary stuff, if you like what to eat. Do you know what I mean? He's informed your political state of mind.
Yes.
I thought his fashion sense was great. I love that style of the Rastaman from the 70s. I just like that whole style. In many ways, he shaped my thinking, or definitely contributed to it in a very serious way.
I love that. And from reggae to Afrobeats has made a big explosion in the music industry. I feel like everybody knows what Afrobeats now. It's going mainstream, if not already mainstream. Matter of fact, it is mainstream.
Yeah.
How do you think Afrobeats is going to look in the next couple of years? Do you think it's going to become the next biggest genre? How do you think it's going to be influencing other genres of music? Because of course we can say that reggae has influenced, I would say, or even Jamaican music has influenced a lot of genres, if not every genre. Do you think even Afrobeats will have that kind of impact for different genres?
Well, it's funny you should say that right after we talk about Bob Marley, because if I was looking for the next guy, that's probably going to be Fela Kuti. Fela Kuti is the Afrobeat guy.
Yes.
The man who coined the term in the 60s right through it and came with a style of music that was westernized, if you like, African music, African jazz, African soul, African funk, African R&B. He just had that flavor in his music. And I think modern day Afrobeats, as the artist will testify himself, descends from that style of music. Happy to see it here. Great to see it's finally having the impact I think it deserves. Happy to see it come direct from the motherland without all the usual diversions, like it goes to America and then becomes hip hop, goes to Jamaica and becomes reggae,
sure.
It goes to America and becomes like blues or this, that, and the third, or rock. I'm happy to see that it is now coming from the foundation. And yeah, being at its baby stage in terms of its arrival on the scene, I think it's going to be one of the most dominant forces in music ever. I think it's going to be around for a very, very, very long time. I think it will go through its changes like all musical styles do. So we have where we are now with the Ghana bounce beat and that part. But we're going to evolve and spread. And truth be said, the dominant part of it is West Africa right now, which is Nigeria and Ghana, with contributions from Ivory Coast, Cameroon, this, that, and some other spots. South African music obviously has its dominance with the Amapiano sound as well. But if you think of all the parts of Africa and the places it's going to spread and come from before it translates to the Western world, that's a lot of territories. Very much in the same way as hip-hop starts from New York, or even the Bronx and Brooklyn and Queens, tri-state, and then it goes from New York, it goes all around New York, and then it goes West Coast, LA, and then it goes dirty south with it, and do you know what I mean? Then it goes Canada with it, and you get Drake. Do you know what I mean? It's been so many places. I think African music and Afrobeat will definitely have that kind of movement around the continent. So I think it's going to remain very influential from time to come. I think he would have had a lot more impact on other artists if it was a much easier digest, which it's not. So your average rock guy can't just get up and make an Afrobeat song just like that right now because of where it's at. But I think that will break down. And more people, I think everyone's embracing it now, and it's just a matter of time before more talent begins to be able to interlock with it authentically, you know, because there's some representations of it which are just like not very good, to be honest with you.
That's true. And I know that you have also incorporated Afro beats into your own musical taste. You're a producer. You've got Orange Hill Productions that you own. Is there any particular sound that you'd like to curate on your next track that you produce? And is Afrobeats going to be an inspiration for one of the tracks?
Yeah, 110%. Just to give you some insight, in 2000, in the late 90s, so I was a hot garage producer. My act was M-Dubs. It was myself and my brethren. Yeah, we had a whole bunch of tunes Over Here with Richard Dan, Bump and Grind with Lady Saw. So I've always had a taste for fusing the reggae and dancehall influence with anything.
Yeah.
So that's where Orange Hill gets born. It's born of a sound that I coined at the time, Electro Bashi. Electro Bashi because EDM music was very much in vogue when I came around with it. It was all about the Major Lazer influence around those times. So remaining pure to what I like, it's always going to be a bit of dancehall and reggae influence versus what I decide to mix it with, which could be anything. And Afrobeats music being the flavor of the day, being where I come from, the reveal is in 2001, I made an album with the act name being The Africans.
Wow.
That was spelled AFROK with the 3 reverse NS, which was meant to be pronounced Afro Kings. Africans. That was meant to have a collide. And that was a combination of hip hop and native tongues of Africa.
Yeah.
So I had the Nigerian guy doing the Yoruba thing. I had the guy from Ivory Coast doing the Francophone thing. The central rapper was a friend of mine called Freddie, and he came from a rap group called PLZ, which is massive and well established in the UK and the States. So he was doing the mainstream rapping thing. And the beats were all produced by me, and I was trying to combine African sounds electronically. So some of those records were like hit songs in Ghana and Lagos at the time. But what we ended up with was a project that was too too Western for the African market and too African for the Western market.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of like in no man's land. This was in 2001. And then in 2004, 2005, I meet Fuse ODG, who's trying to do the same thing, but was doing it way better than I was doing it with my guys. So I could see that was the beginnings of Afrobeat in that time. I say all that to say, basically, yes, my thing right now is the Afro bashment thing. African music meets the dancehall and reggae music in one sweet combination. So to answer your question, yes, definitely 100% looking to explore the fusion of those two styles of music. I've already started working on it, and yeah, there's product in the can forthcoming that definitely represents the two sides and all the influences of what I'm into, with the predominant features being the Afro beats and the dancehall reggae combination.
I love that. And is it important for you to create music that's for a particular audience, or do you just like to produce the music for yourself because you want to do it and that's your objective?
Yeah, I think music is something personal, and you've got to be into your own music, and creating for other people is cool, but it's not what I'm here for. I want to make something that I feel I like myself enough to share with other people that they will enjoy it as well. And generally speaking, the music I've made to present day has always done that for me. So I'm not trying to chase things. I'm not an artist like that. So I'm not getting direct pleasure from like making a hit record. That's not really me, but it's a hit, so I can continue my artist career. I'm a musical creator.
Would you say that most of your pleasure comes from interviewing others, or not even, I'm not going to say interviewing because that sounds too serious, but getting to know an artist through the music and also by having a conversation with them?
Yeah, definitely. The cool thing is you meet the artist. All right, you're not going to love everyone you meet.
Let's keep it real.
Yeah, you're not going to love all of them. But some of them you really connect with.
Yes.
You have a shared musical passion. You know, they can see you're really into what they do. They're really into what I do, you know. And then we have that connection through music.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of the time when I think my central pleasure is from meeting the people and conversating with the people who give me this great music, which I enjoy.
Yes.
Which, as a fan, that's what comes first. This is a banger. I like it. I'm in my car and I'm pulling it up and loving it. Then you get to meet the person and find out the mindset of the person who made it.
Do you feel like
great.
you enjoy the song even more after having a conversation?
Definitely. 110%.
You hear that, artist?
Yeah. The song makes more sense after you've had a chat with the guy who made it.
Yes.
And you can see what's in their head and how it came together and what they're all about. Definitely, 100%.
And artists you've interviewed: Bounty Killer, Sham, Beanie Man, Cranium, Sean Paul, Shansea. Like, it's a crazy list. Like, I feel like if anyone wants to reach the epitome of success in presenting world, just take a look at what Ras Kwame has done. Take a few notes and tick it off. Is there anyone still on your list that you're thinking, I want to interview them? And it doesn't even need to be still a big artist. It could be somebody that's upcoming that you're thinking, I think they're onto something.
There's always a long list of people I want to chat to.
Really? Still?
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually crazy to me.
Yeah. I haven't had a conversation with Burna Boy. Me and Burna are cool. If I see him right now, it's the wicked as hell. Yeah, well, go on, my G. I met him for the first time quite a few years ago backstage at a Black Coffee concert. And we were just reasoning from there. Yeah, I'd really like to chop it up with Burna Boy and see the mind state of what he's on, based largely on things he said over the years, as well as the amazing music. He once talked about how Afrobeats was like quite in its flippant throwaway music kind of, it's a party thing. And that resonates with me because I've grown up in Ghana and I returned to Ghana and parts of Africa repeatedly. I was literally just there earlier this year. And if you were to come from Mars and as I were to play you Afrobeats as it sounds right now, you would think the streets of Africa must be paved in gold and everyone's super happy and it's just one bag of joy. Which to a degree it is, because we are naturally joyful people.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. There's plenty political to sing about. There's plenty not right about the system to put in songs. And I'm not saying it all has to be that depressing way, because as someone pointed out to me, and rightly so, hey man, the people want to get away from the madness. That's why they're making happy music. But I believe there has to be balance. You can't just have one side. And lately, I feel it's been very one-sided.
That's so interesting you said that, because I was actually thinking about this the other day when listening to one of your interviews, and every single reggae or dancehall artist that comes through and talks to you always says, I really like Afro beats because I love how joyous and positive they are in their lyrics. So to hear that you're now actually saying that that's great, but also sometimes we need a little bit of a real talk.
Yeah, we need balance, especially for a place like Africa where it's ultra peak. Like when I say it's ultra peak, it's ultra peak. Sometimes I go to the Caribbean, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a little, I can see the peakness, but, and I shouldn't even really do this, but comparatively speaking, it's not peak like African peak. Africa is real. Like, poverty is poverty. Like, in Jamaica, you can literally survive off the land. There's enough natural growth going on where you can survive, which Rasta men in the hills do that. Live off the land, grow everything off the land. Mangoes are on the mango tree falling naturally. Do you know what I mean? It's not all concrete built up over the farming spaces. So it's not that. Do you know what I mean? Whereas in Africa, it is kind of that. And I feel like maybe the Afrobeats is going through the happy phase, which every musical style goes through the happy phase. Jamaican music, ska, was just the super happy, we are independent and free kind of music for the first 3-4 years. And then it turned into rock steady, more lovey vibes. And then the reggae comes in and gets more roots and culture with it. But even in the ska days, I can play you conscious ska songs, which are talking about real stuff, reality. It's not just jump up and down all the time. And therein, I think I'm gravitating to having conversations with people who kind of think like that. And Burna Boy is definitely one of those right now.
And we're talking about the importance of speaking about things that need to be spoken about on tracks in real life. And part of that is community, like being together, right? Because it's all coming from Africa. We're talking about the Caribbean. What's the importance of having a community come together? And do you think that Notting Hill Carnival, because I know that you DJ there year in, year out pretty much, do you think it does what it's supposed to do? Or do you think that we could be doing more of that?
Well, I'm definitely up for more carnivals. I wouldn't say no to that. Look, carnival is what it is. It started how it started way back in the day, from humble foundations where Caribbean people just came together to celebrate their thing and get their spirits going. It's grown to be taking millions of people who all come together joyously to celebrate music, a couple of days on a weekend at the end of summer. And the vibe and intention has always been celebratory. Is celebrating with music bringing community together? Definitely is bringing community together in a positive way. I can't say that's not a good thing. So I think Carnival does the job it's set out to do, which is unite communities in one positive spirit of music and enjoyment for a weekend. Could that break down into smaller communities coming together and doing their thing? Yeah, it probably could. Yes, of course. But does it always have to be that? Not really. I think communities have to take their own initiatives and bring themselves together as people to celebrate whatever they want to celebrate in any space or time, regardless of numbers. It could be 50 people, it could be 500, it could be 5,000. It's just about people coming together for a celebratory purpose and to be united. Because I think the world is very fractured right now. There's a lot of tension. And a lot of not coming together for the right cause.
The importance of people coming together. And speaking of which, Ras, thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming together with me and having this conversation.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Jasmine.
And I want to end it with one question, Ras. What quote do you live by and you'd share with someone who is seeking advice?
Wow. What quote do I live by?
Take your time with it.
It's exactly that. Relax and breathe. Relax and breathe. If only we could all just relax and breathe, the world would be a much better place.
It's true.
Swear down, you just have to relax and breathe because everything else is noise.
Yes.
It's this, it's that, go here, go there, up, down, distractions, communications, media, 100 miles an hour, go. You just have to relax and breathe, first of all. And from the point of the relax and breathe, everything else should go pretty well afterwards because you're calm. You know, you're not panicky, you're not rushed, you're not thinking a million miles an hour. As mad as it may seem, the only thing you can do for free is relax and breathe. That's it.
You heard it here for the first time, people. Ras Kwame's advice to everyone is to relax and breathe. I love it. Thank you for joining me, Ras Kwame. I appreciate it.
No
it's
problem,
been
Jasmine
Wizard.
Bless up.